Yes, uh, I have. But the weird thing is I don't, I think we were talking about at the beginning of the interview that I read. I think we were talking about Chariots of the Gods
Yeah.
at the beginning of the interview.
Yeah.
So that yeah, at a relatively young age, probably sometime short thereafter, having read that book, I was fairly skeptical. I became fairly skeptical about anything that wasn't science oriented. And I was raised sort of atheistically. My father had been raised Swedish Methodist, which preached hell a lot. And so he was afraid growing up. It's like if you liked going to movies, dancing, flirting with girls, what have you, that meant you were going to hell in Swedish Methodist teachings of the 1930s and 40s that my father dealt with. And he was afraid he believed he was going to go to hell for his childhood. And he just didn't want me to be raised that way. So I was sort of, if anything, raised anti organized religion. So I've always been fairly skeptical about anything, including paranormal activity. And yet I have had something happen at my property in the Czech Republic. I don't really feel comfortable talking about it,
No problem.
but I don't know how it was strange. It was strange and not horrible, nothing horrible. It was not a bad experience, a bit unnerving,
A bump in the
but
night.
it was in the night. It wasn't a bump, but it was in the night, and it was uncanny. It was very strange. But how do I explain it? Was it an hallucination? Was it in my mind? Was it another dimension opening? I really I don't know. But it's the kind of thing that many people would say that was a paranormal experience. So I truly don't know where I sit with it. I don't know if it was just something that it was in my brain and imagination, or if this was an actual thing I experienced. It was unusual. I mean, it was interesting. I'm glad I had the experience. What it came from, I would say, yeah, I've anything can happen. Who knows? We do not know until somebody crosses. You cross over into death and stay there. Those are the only people that really know what happens, and they don't tell us. So
Well,
we none of us really know. We can all feel anything. We can say we know. We can say we know in a scientific fashion that it's this, or we can say we know in faith that it's this, but we none of us know. So on some level, we're all agnostic. None of us know. Nobody
right.
truly knows. They can have faith in one kind of thought or another, but I think admitting to not knowing, and still, even those that have faith, they say somebody who believes in that says they know, and they know well, that's fine. That's what they feel they know. And then somebody who would be a devout, strict atheist, they know they know or they see no proof of that which isn't uh, a non-theistic way of perceiving it. And fair enough, that is a logical way to go forward with it. But even then, nobody knows. You can feel one thing or another, and then there's all the people that have died and come back that have certain stories. But then there's people that have died and come back and they don't have
Right.
stories.
Right.
So who knows what there's the DMT that's released in the brain that could be making a certain kind of experience, but what that you might be having at a death, but coming back from death, you still have whatever the DMT was that made one go through that. Or is DMT something that is a true pathway into another realm? That's the other another argument you hear. Who knows? It'll be interesting to find out
I was gonna say we'll
at
find
some
out
point. I'm
eventually.
not I'm not trying to get there fast, but also I'm not particularly. I feel like at worst. it would be similar to what I experienced before I was born,
Right.
which I don't have any recollection of that. And then there, of course, are people that say that they've experienced they had other lives before that they remember. So who knows? I mean, they might. I don't know. I didn't have that particular experience, but it's interesting. All of it's interesting. I like hearing about these things, but
Agreed.
I find it interesting, and I remain skeptical, but also with interest. And I did have this strange experience that I would many people would call a paranormal experience at my property in the Czech Republic.